Hey guys, it's Eric with Painting Business Pro, and in this video I want to talk to you about why people fail in the painting business specifically. And the reason we want to talk about the painting business specifically is because there's a lot of businesses that fail because they aren't proven businesses yet. You know, like there's a lot of people who have an idea about a business and they go about it and it just turns out that there's not a market for it, or they just aren't able to quite figure it out, or there's not enough money in it, or it's already blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing about the painting business. We know that there's tons and tons of work out there. There's definitely a need. There's definitely a market for it. So we know that. The second thing is you don't need very much of that market to have a successful business. You know, a $300,000 painting company should bring in $100,000 a year. That's only 100 houses. That's tiny, 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 tiny given how big the market is. It's a tiny amount. You know, so, and that'd be a really successful business. Most people watching this video would be like, shoot, if I can make $100,000 a year, I'd be pumped. And so we know the market's there. And we know there's thousands of people succeeding in this business. And there's stuff like what I provide on Painting Business Pro's YouTube channel, and then the courses we provide. All the answers for how to build a successful business are out there too. So we know that this business is very doable. And there's thousands of people doing it. And in every single city, there are people doing it. And I know that because in every single city, there are houses and buildings, and those houses and buildings need to be painted, and somebody's painting them, and they're not doing it for free. So no matter where you are, there are people running a successful painting company. Now, the next thing to get is that this industry has a terrible reputation, and terrible reputations don't come from nowhere. They come from somewhere. And in this case, they come from the fact that people have earned the bad reputation. In this industry, people don't do what they say they're going to do. They don't show up on time. They do sloppy work. They fight their customers. There's all kinds of problems in this industry. And so all you've got to do is be better than the worst guy out there. Because the worst guy out there who's in business is succeeding. And all you got to do is be better than the worst guy. But really what you should be aiming for is trying to be one of the best, because that's when you're really going to have success. And fortunately, even the best is not a very high bar. For you to be in the top 20% of this industry is not hard to do. To be in the top 2% or 1%, that's going to be hard to do. But the top 20% and make a great income, that is not hard to do. All right, so why do people fail when starting a painting business then? So we're going to look at those reasons, and I hope you don't fall in any of these traps after having watched this video. So the first thing that people quit is excuses. Literally excuses. They lie to themselves, and they make excuses, and they're a victim, and they take no responsibility. So an example, there's some examples of this. So one example of this is people won't hire us for those prices here. That's a lie. I mean, I get that you might... See, the thing about excuses is you believe them. You believe them because you found evidence for them. But any time that you find evidence for excuses, I can find evidence that your excuses are bullshit. So the real question is, if you're quitting because of excuses, and look, they're all excuses. Just look at your excuses. If you're thinking about quitting, or you say, these prices don't work here, there's no subcontractors here, people won't work for these prices here, there's too much competition here, other people are too low priced, there's too many people doing this business illegally that's driving the prices down that I can't get business. All of that is just bullshit. And the real reason, and I'll tell this to you, whether you want to believe it or not, the real reason is you're not effective. You're not effective. There's plenty of business out there for you to get. You just are failing at something. And that's all that's happening. And there's nothing wrong with failing. Look, I have failed a lot. A lot. And if any of those times I failed, I chalked it up to a circumstance as why I failed, I would have quit too. But I didn't chalk it up to a circumstance. I took responsibility for failing. I did 6 weeks of estimates. I did 36 estimates. I didn't book a single one. That's a real story. And a lot of people, after 3 weeks, would be, well, this must not work here. or this must not work for me. And that would be a bullshit excuse. But I kept at it, and eventually I figured it out, and now I've gotten really, really good at sales. That was my first year, by the way. And I've seen other people go, I had one of my best buddies went 2 for his first 57 estimates. Most people quit. In fact, I saw tons of other people go 0 for their first 12 and quit. So most people, when they fail, there's 2 things you can do. You can make excuses and explain the failure like it has nothing to do with you, and you can quit. But if you want to be, that's not what successful people do. Successful people don't make the excuses. Successful people take responsibility, learn from it, and improve, and they figure it out. So that's the first reason that people fail in this business. Actually, to be clear, everybody fails in this business. Just some people fail and then quit. Some people fail and then they learn from it and they succeed. So your response to your failure is everything. Second reason people fail in this business is by chasing money. Okay, so what I mean by that is, the way I teach people to start this business is to start simple. All right, you just do exterior residential repaints. It's hard to screw those up. And even if you do screw those up, it's hard to really lose much money. And when you don't screw them up, there's so much money to be made that it's hard to really lose. But then what happens is you're in business for 2 months, and then some general contractor calls you up and says, hey, we're doing this hotel down the street, and we'd like you to bid on it. And you get blinded by dollar signs. You're like, oh my God, that could be an $80,000 job. I could make $20,000. This could be it for me. And then I could get another job from it, another job. And you get blinded by money, and you start chasing the money. Or maybe a customer says, hey, you're painting the whole interior. Do you guys also do drywall? And you think to yourself, maybe I can find a subcontractor that does drywall. Sure, yeah, I'll do it. Oh my God, that'd be an extra $10,000 on this job. I can make another $3,000 or $4,000. And then you commit to something that you have no idea what you're doing. And you get your ass kicked, and you lose a bunch of money, and you have no money to pay your bills, and you go out of business because you tried to chase the money. You need to keep this business simple until, if you want to do that hotel for 80 grand, okay, well, you need to know how much it's going to cost you to do it. It's going to cost $50K to do it. Then you better have $50,000 you're willing to lose if you're going to do that job. Otherwise, don't do it. And don't worry. That hotel that you want to chase, or that new restaurant you want to do, or whatever, if you don't do it now, don't worry. Another one's coming next year. That same hotel, it's going to need to be painted again in 7 years. You'll get it then, when you're actually ready. So don't chase money. Don't do stupid crap. There's plenty of money in just residential repaints. You having the discipline to say no to everything except what you know how to do is critical when you're starting your business. And I can tell you this, look, we did all residential painting. In fact, we didn't even do interiors for the first 3 years. Exterior only. And then after 4 or 5 years, then we started getting all these commercial bids, and we had a bunch of money to lose. So we're like, all right, we'll do it. And we did a commercial job, $40,000, made 20 grand in 2 weeks. Hell yeah, that was awesome. So we did another one, and we did another one. And then the fourth one was $37,000 job. It cost us $55,000 to do the job. We lost like $18,000 on that job. I have a buddy who did, staining all the woodwork in the house, restaining it. They stripped it, restained it, sealed it, lost $20,000 on one job. Don't chase money. There's plenty of money in what works. That can put you out of business and tank all your dreams and ambitions. Chasing money screws people. This one goes back to number 1. So one option when you fail and you struggle is you can make excuses, and you can be a victim, and you can say, oh, it's my circumstances, it's the city, it's the competition, it's these customers, it's the marketing, it's blah, 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 a bunch of bullshit. Or you can learn from your mistakes. So not learning from mistakes, not learning from failures is also why people fail in this business and quit. You need to change your relationship to failure to one of productivity. Look, I like failing. Every time I fail just reveals to me somewhere in my business that we are not proficient. When we fail in something, it's just like a little indicator that says, oh, Eric, you need to improve your systems over here. And look, there's not that many ways you can fail in this business. There's not that many failures to have. And if every time you fail, think of it like a leaky bucket. We've got this bucket, it's got 100 holes in it. And every time it starts to leak out, and that's a failure, you plug the hole. And then there's another failure and it leaks, you plug the hole. Another failure leaks, you plug the hole, you plug the hole, you plug the hole. And as you do that, this bucket fills up, your business gets good, your systems get good. You prevent future failures. You only fail one time at any one thing. When you have a huge failure and a huge problem in your business, great. No matter how much money that cost you, if you had a $5,000 screw up and it cost you $5,000, that hurts. It stings. But if you learn from it and you put a new system in place that prevents that problem from ever happening again, look, the bigger your business gets, the more times you're going to encounter that problem. If you don't learn from it, you're going to just lose $5,000 again. Then you lose $5,000 again. You lose $5,000 again. But if you learn from it, you save yourself from losing $5,000 the next 10 times. So it costs you $5,000, but if you learn from it, it saves you $50,000. Because every problem you run into, it's not a one-time fluke. Given enough time, every problem is going to happen a bunch of times. And at the beginning, the first problems you encounter are most likely going to be the most frequent problems, just statistically. When you're first starting the business, the problems that pop up the most are the ones that are going to keep popping up the most. And if you learn from them, that's how you build a great business. Look, we have a multi-million-dollar company now, and the systems we have in our business are all built on our failures. That's the only way we knew what systems to make. If everything just worked great right out the gate, we wouldn't have needed to do anything. Your systems and your success is literally built on failure. But you have no opportunity to build on that failure if you make a bunch of bullshit excuses. And they're everywhere, and you got to check yourself. If you don't think you make bullshit excuses, you need to check yourself. I've been in this business long enough to know that most of you watching this video make excuses everywhere, and you don't really take responsibility for your business. The last thing that leads to people to failing is they quit too early. So I've said this and I'll say it again. You don't get in this business for the first year and you don't get in for the second year. You get in this business for years 3, 4, 5 and beyond. You should still make good money in the first year. But it's going to be hard. There's going to be tons of failures, going to be tons of struggle, a ton of stress. And honestly, you probably could make just as much money doing something else that's not stressful. But that something else you could do doesn't have the upside that you have with your painting company. And so you can't quit too early. You've got to give this time. It takes time, period. Even my business partners, the people I work with personally, no matter how much I tell them the answers, they still screw everything up. And so will you. And so you can't quit too early. You need to persist. When you fail, you need to persist. You need to be relentless. You need to be truly committed to success. Not, I'm committed to success as long as it's an easy road. That ain't going to happen. It's just not. So one thing here is keep your job until you know you can make enough money from the business. And if the business isn't making enough money, you might need to get a job and keep running the business on the side until you get good enough at marketing, sales, and production to generate income. And so don't put yourself in a position to run out of time. Don't quit everything and be like, I'm starting the painting business and I've got 3 weeks of money left before I'm screwed. Because you know what? You might suck for 3 weeks. You might book your first 2 jobs and not make money on either of them because you screw up. You need to give yourself an opportunity to fail. You need to give yourself an opportunity to succeed. You need to give yourself a timeline to figure all this out. All right, so I hope this helps give you a little bit of insight into what it takes to be successful, because you're in a business where your success can be guaranteed if you choose to have it be guaranteed. The market's there, the business is there. I have clients and customers all over the country, in cities all over the country, doing this business successfully. No matter how unique you think your situation is, it's not. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not unique. There are people who have been in your situation who have succeeded. And so if you don't succeed, that's because of you. It's because you chose not to, or you made excuses, or you quit too early, or you gave up, or you, bottom line, really just weren't committed. And I'll tell you this, I've started a lot of companies that aren't painting businesses. If you don't succeed in this business, there aren't any other businesses that are going to be any easier than this one. And I'll tell you that, I've done them. I've seen a ton of people. And I've helped a ton of people be successful in this business. So if you're going to start this, start it to succeed. And there isn't going to be an easy way. Just be prepared for that. Be prepared to get your ass kicked. Be prepared to fail and know how you are going to respond when that happens, because it is inevitably going to happen. You're going to run into all this stuff. You're going to have places when you want to chase money. You're going to have things where you fail and you want to make excuses. And your excuses won't seem like excuses. They'll seem like the way it is. You'll fail and customers will keep saying, your price is too high. Your price is too high. Your price is too high. And you're like, well, my price must be too high. Every customer's telling me that. But you don't see what you don't see. And when customers keep telling you your price is high, it doesn't mean that's the case. That's just what you're telling you. The people who book 70% of their estimates never hear customers say the price is high. But their price might be high. Might be just as high as yours. Just your customers aren't booking with you and they need a reason to tell you. But they're not going to tell you, we think your estimate sucks and we don't trust you. They won't say that. But that might be what's actually going on. It might not be about this price thing. And so you've got to deal with reality. And the reality is other people are succeeding and you're not. That's on you. And if you fall in the trap of making excuses or thinking your situation's unique, you're screwed. And so I'm beating this in because I care. I want you to succeed. And I know how much those excuses and reasons can tempt you, and I know how real they seem. They're just not. What I'm talking about works. If I come to your city, my business will succeed, period. It works. You just need to be committed enough to making it work. So if you got a question or comment, leave it below. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that because we got a bunch more videos coming. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you soon.